sparingly, and I was using
Yeah, but you needed that color to
Crushing.
kind of pop it out.
Yeah, I crush because I couldn't draw with them either. They're Conte crayons, red Contes. I crush them and then mix them with water.
So that's red Conte.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it'll work better if I painted it on with the water, and then and so they're either really soft lead pencils or graphite pencils or charcoal.
So how many do you think you've done? Of Joe
Oh, I
Johnson?
did at least 59 of them, maybe a couple
Really?
more. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I even did one of the commission, which was a lady's house who lived in, she lived in an old house from the 1700s, and so it was very colonial looking. And she was like, hey, she saw this, and she was like, hey, would you do a picture of my house like that? And I was like, yeah, sure. She showed me her house, and I was like, this would be perfect for Joe to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I did
Wow.
one. And,
Well, and I love your mark, and the mark for Job is so different than your paintings,
Yep.
in mixing the work. So I mean, we were able to really separate the two.
yeah, and some of these are the best works of the grouping. Some of them were a lot of portraits of people that nobody really knows. And then also, I would even draw pictures of monuments that were erected around the area, like old monuments from the early 1900s.
So what is,
There was one
these are
for
the same, but this is Frank and that's Alan, but the narrative.
Yeah, so Frank Gowan, he's the one that owned the mining company specifically that was that the Molly Maguires worked for. A lot of Irish, a lot of Eastern European immigrants. They came over to central Pennsylvania to work in the mines, and very hard conditions. They weren't even paid real money. They were paid, notes that they could go buy food and stuff from the company-owned store. And they were sort of locked away there, and so the Irish though they were a little smarter than that. They didn't want to. They were fighting for rights, and so they created an underground gang that was essentially threatening and murdering mine bosses as well as
The Irish.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, the owner though, he hired a detective or a secret, but it was private company, the Pinkerton Detective Agency, and that was back when they started, which eventually became the FBI. But Alan Pinkerton, that's who he is, and so yeah.
So you have cheating the men, and he has murdering the men.
Yep, and so those are coffin notices. So the Molly Maguires would write these notices and serve them to someone.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
Huh.
And that's exactly what they wrote on it.
And tell me who this is again.
And that's Joe Johnson.
That is Joe Johnson. Yeah, that is Joe Johnson.
Yeah, that's my fictitious pulled up old image from an old Pennsylvania book.
And he looks like Joe Johnson.
Yeah, I photoshopped it. I even imagined where he would work and how early most of his life he worked on a tobacco farm, and he did all this in a small shed in the woods.
Were those his pieces that you found?
So those are the ones that I made, and then I incorporated them into the background
yeah.
of the picture.
God, and it's seamless. It looks like he's standing there with his work.
I tried to. It does look a little.
It's really great.
Yeah.
This all looks really good. I'm really happy with this. It's like you have a vision, and I just.
This is but when they were little, before they built the house, they all lived in this, and it was my grandma and Pap. It was a 2-room little shack. The front room was where the girls slept, and it was also the kitchen, and the back room was where the boys slept, and they had a double, 2-seater outhouse, and my grandpap would still go over there and use that, even though we had the house and everything. He would always go to the bathroom.
You just felt more comfortable in the outhouse.
Yeah.
Communing with nature or something. And then what about this one?
And it used to be a tobacco stripping shed, and that's why they called it stripping room. I thought they meant like changing room.
Yeah, but tobacco.
Yeah, because they used to grow tobacco in Pennsylvania back in the 1800s, I guess.
Gosh, and what is that with the arrows? And
I wind, who holds is a saying that you're supposed to say when you take a ball of yarn, you throw it into an old haunted house or snake house, they also call them, which was an abandoned house. You would throw it in there, a young maiden, and when she winds it out, or when she winds it back, a ghost from inside will speak out the name of her future husband.
And what would they say?
I wind, who holds. Yeah, as they were winding it up.
I had no idea there was like such
Yeah, yeah, there's quite a
superstition,
culture
all
out there.
that. And, you know, because you think of it kind of almost like Calvinist, like really
Mhm.
strict,
Yeah.
whatever. And
Well, they were all religious. All the German farmers that came, and a lot of them were. They branched off of even the Lutheran Church, I guess.
Yeah.
My own family was Waldensian martyrs, and I never knew that. I just always thought they were Lutheran Germans or something. But so they left. They were martyrs in Germany back in the 1600s, and they were chased away from southeast Germany or southwest Black Forest area. And so they came over to Pennsylvania. Most Germans came to Pennsylvania because right away they recognized the land was very similar to theirs for farming, that they have there's a lot of limestone in Pennsylvania, and you take the limestone, you burn it to make lime for fertilizer. And so that's why they settled in Pennsylvania.
wow,
Particularly. Yep.
these stories are just
Yeah.
so mesmerizing.
Yeah.
They're kind of like Stephen King kind of.
Yeah, there's
you
a
know?
little like I did my best to pull out the strange stuff because
Yeah.
we used to take walks in the woods all the time, and the woods are kind of creepy, but not anything like Louisiana. It's like you're not going to get eaten by an alligator. And black bears usually run away. Although even we took a walk in the woods and we saw a black bear up on a leaned over tree. He was well away from us.
In Louisiana?
No,
Or
Pennsylvania.
Oh.
And then I look back and I'm like, come on, Eva, let's check it out. Look at that bear up there. And she's like, I look back and she's like already like 200 feet down the path running as fast as she
So are any of these stories or hexes like still prevalent with families there? I mean, does it carry through?
They do, but they're not really. When they put hex signs on barns today, they're just doing it for decoration.
Yeah.
And a lot of them probably don't even remember why they did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, why they were on there.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is a wonderful, I love this.
And but a lot of barns are disappearing in Pennsylvania. They're so big, and people just like they don't want to do the upkeep on them, and they get beat at. They get eaten by those bumblebees that bore through wood.
Oh.
And you know, they're just huge on their properties, and a lot of people can't afford to keep up on them. But yeah, they needed their boards needed replaced, and otherwise they're torn down. Hey, people that still do it are the Amish. And the Amish, though, even now they're not putting wood slats on barns anymore. They're using steel. Yeah, steel plating, but they're still building them out of wood, tempered.
That's too bad.
And so a lot of old barns, they just get like they.
And there's probably nobody even salvaging the.
They let them fall down. Yeah.
That's really too bad.
Yeah. Now there is a few. There's like little furniture guys that will salvage barn wood and make furniture out of it or something. But yeah.
But